So all right, so number 20. So first thing I want you guys to do is grab your highlighter and start highlighting some of the things that you think are important. So go ahead and do that, please. Good morning. Okay, so a linear function passes these 2 points. So these 2 points are important. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And also you want to label them x1, y1, x2, y2. A second function is represented by this equation. So I'm going to highlight this equation as well. What is the y-intercept of a function with a greater rate of change? Okay, greater rate of change. So greater rate of change just means bigger slope. Now, before I can even find the y-intercept, I have to find the bigger slope. So let's take a look at this first slope. So I'm going to put m1. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so if I go ahead and plug those numbers in, it will be -5 minus 5 and -15 minus 10. So with your calculator, and you're allowed to use a calculator on your task, you should have a -10 over -25. That's your slope. And then if I go ahead and reduce that, if I divide by 5 on top and bottom, I'll have a -10 over, or -2 over 5. But it's a positive because double negative makes it a positive. Okay, so that's your first slope. But now let's find the second slope. Okay, so here's your equation with a second slope. Can't find it because it's not solved for y, so let's solve for y. So to solve for y, I'm going to move that 4x over to the right side. So I have -3y equals -4x plus 6. So then I'm going to go ahead and divide everything by -3. And when I do that, -3 cancels. Y is equal to +4 over 3x minus 2. Okay, so then if I take a look at my slope, my second slope is going to be this number in front of the x, which is going to be equal to 4 over 3. Now, you guys grab your calculator. Which one is bigger, 4 over 3 or 2 over 5? Which one has a bigger slope? Which one has a bigger number? And it's sometimes hard to see because it's not like in decimals. So just take your calculator and do 4 divided by 3 and then 2 divided by 5. Make sure you guys are copying this part down on your study guide. Make sure your cell phone is away because that's what we're doing right now. So again, if you still have your cell phone out, put your cell phone away, please. All right, so let's take a look at this. 4 divided by 3, that gives me a 1.33. 2 divided by 5 is a 0.4. So which one's bigger? The second slope. So now that I know that this is a bigger slope, I need to find the y-intercept. Okay, so let's see how I'm underlining the y-intercept. The y-intercept is when x equals 0. What is y equal to? That's kind of what it's asking you. And I know this is kind of a hard question because you have like 2 different parts. You got to figure out which 2 slope is bigger And then you got to find the y-intercepts. I mean, these test questions are somewhat difficult, you guys, and I totally understand. So if you look at this equation, you have 4x minus 3y equals 6. If it's asking you for when x equals 0, all you do is you take your finger and you just cover it. Just cover that. It's not even there. Just pretend it's not there. And then I'm going to solve for y. Divided by -3 on both sides. What's 6 divided by -3? I think it equals -2. And do you see an answer here that has -2? Yeah. C as in cat. That is your answer. And that's it. If you have a question like this on the test, that's how you would do that. All right, let's go on to the next one over here. So with this one, if you take a look at it, it's a fill in the blank question. So you want to be careful with that because you do have these questions on your test. So I'm going to give you guys like 30 seconds. Go ahead and read and highlight. All right, so it says line 1 passes through these 2 points. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight these 2 points because they look like they're important. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to label it. So I'm going to put x1, y1, x2, y2. Line 2 is perpendicular. That's another keyword, perpendicular. Perpendicular means that they're opposite, reciprocal. So the question is, what is the slope of line 2? Okay, so let's find the slope of line 1. Slope of line 1 are these 2 points. You're going to do -2 minus 8. Those are the y's. 12 minus -4. Those are the x's. Double negative gives you a positive. Make sure you guys are copying this down. So you have a -10 over 16. If you reduce it by 2, you'll get a -5 over 8. So that's your first slope. But the question here asks you for the second slope, obviously, okay? So the second slope is perpendicular to the first slope. So let's do that. So your second slope, and I'm gonna put M2, that's the second slope, means you're gonna flip this, so 8 over 5, and change the sign. That's where the opposite comes from. Opposite of a negative is a positive. So their answer is 8 over 5. But if you look at your answer here, it's not in fractions. You have to use your calculator and put it in a decimal. So grab your calculator. What is 8 divided by 5? So then once you have that decimal, you're going to go up here. Okay. You see if there's positive and negative, you're going to put positive and highlight the positive. And you're going to put 1. So you're going to highlight the 1, put a dot, point, and then 6, and then go down to 6 and circle 6 like that. I know it's kind of like a pain in the ass, and I totally understand, but that's how you do fill in the blank. If you do like Anything else that's not like that, the answers will be wrong because computer wouldn't be able to pick it up. I know, it's a complete pain in the ass. I get it. Totally agree. All right, number 22. So I'm gonna give you guys a moment, highlight the important information there, you guys. Okay, so the first thing that I notice here is that the word parallel, okay? What does it mean by parallel? Parallel means to have the same slope for that graph, okay? So let's go ahead and solve for this graph. So if I need to solve for this graph, I have to solve for y. So I'm gonna take the x, move it over here to the right side. 8y equals negative 4x plus 32. And for those of you guys who are sleeping, you might want to wake up and make sure you're writing on this because this is worth 100 points and it's due like in 2 days for your final. For those of you guys who are still doing this, good job, you guys. You'll probably do fine on the test. And then we're going to divide it by 8. And when I divide it by 8, that 8 cancels. Y is now by itself. 4 divided by 8 reduces down to 1 over 2. 32 divided by 8 gives me a 4. Okay, so what is your slope? Your slope is always going to be the number in front of the x after you solve for y, right? And can everybody see that my slope is a negative 1 over 2? Which other graph has a slope of a negative 1 over 2 and it's also in front of the x? I look at C, that's a 2. That's not negative 1 over 8. That's not it. I look at D, that's a negative 1 over 8. That's not it. I look at B, there is literally no x. So that's not it. Oh, there it is. Negative 1 over 2 in front of the x. It's not even hiding. So it is A as an apple. All right, you guys, let's go on to number 25 or 24. Just kidding, 24. So this one is kind of a hard question because it's a word problem, but you guys are super smart and I have every confidence in you that you'll do just fine. So take about 30 seconds and highlight and read Kaj's birdhouse that he's going to build. Yep. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. We're going to go to 24. I'll go back to 23. Sorry, that was totally my fault. Yeah, let's do 24 and I'll go back to 23. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. Because you could have said like, oh, well, you know, one less to deal with. But I'm glad you mentioned that because I feel like majority of you guys really want to do well on this test and get a really good grade in this class. So I appreciate it. And you should be proud of yourself for doing that. Okay, so he needs to build 15 birdhouses for a class project. It takes 20 minutes for each birdhouse. The number of minutes it takes him to build a birdhouse is a function of the number of birdhouses that she builds. Which statement describes the domain or range of this function? Oh, for crying out loud, that's a crazy question. All right, so if you're not sure about an answer, I mean, you don't have this on the final, but I mean, you can always take a look at the answer on the back of your paper. So I'm just gonna kind of like take a peek and kind of work backwards to make sure that my answer is gonna be correct. So I'm gonna go over here, go all the way to the end. And this is question number 24. And the answer for number 24 is B as in boy. Okay, so B as in boy is the correct answer. And it says the domain is a set of all integers from 0 to 15. Because, you know, Kaj need to build at least 15 birdhouses, right? 20 minutes to build each of the birdhouse. And so I would say that the domain is going to be between 0 to 15. X is the domain, which is the number of birdhouses Kaj is going to build, right? And she has to build at least 15 houses. So 0 to 15 makes sense. And so that will be my answer. All right, let's go on to number 23, which I accidentally skipped. I didn't do it on purpose. So let me pull that up and then we'll do number 23, you guys. So you guys go ahead and read number 23 and then highlight the important parts of it. It's a lot of questions here, geez, 23. Okie doke, let's see, here we go. Okay, so 23, if you guys notice, is a multiple select question because it has the word select all that it applies. And I think I told you guys if that was the case, you can't just select one right answer, you gotta select at least two, right? And that's how you do this. Okay, so it says, determine which table and graph represents functions. So keyword here is functions, okay? So what is a function? Function means there's only one X value, no repeating, okay? And then also remember with function is the vertical line test where it touches the line only once, okay? And I know you're like, that's a lot to write, Callahan. I get it, okay? But it's not too difficult, I promise you. So given the fact that this is only the X value, take a look at the domain of F. Take a look at the domain of G. Take a look at the domain of H. Do any of those numbers repeat? 2, 3, 4, 5. Does not repeat. That's one of your answer. This is a function. G, 3 and 3 repeat. Uh-oh. It's not a function. So don't circle that one. H, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, no repeat. H is one of your answers. Take a look at I. With I, if I go ahead and draw a straight line here, how many times does this line touch that graph on that green line? Do you see how it's 2 times? Didn't I say it could only touch it once? So guess what? I is not an answer. Nope, don't even circle that one. Nope, not it. Now take a look at J. If I draw a straight line on J, like I'm drawing literally 4 lines. Does your graph ever touch the line more than once at any of those lines? Touches it once. Touch only this graph once or line once. So yes, J is a function. Last one, K. If I draw a straight line, it only touches it once. Draw another straight line, only touches it once. Draw another straight line, only touches it once. So yep, K is also an answer. So for this question, because this is select all that applies, you better select F, H, J, and K. You gotta select all 4 of them to get this question right. I know that sucks, but that's the way they're gonna ask you the questions like that sometimes. Good morning. Number 25, you guys. Okay, number 25. So for number 25, you have this equation that's given to you. And do you see where it says -29 right there? But do you see how that -29 kind of like needs to be inside of that H right there? So you're going to replace the X with -29. Sorry? You cannot, unfortunately, and that's actually a really good question. I'm glad you asked that. So it's a common district final. So remember I had you guys do this part right here where I asked you how many questions are there? Is there a formula sheet? Which questions are fill in the blank? Remember how you guys have to do this before? You have a formula sheet, but that's a really good question. So I'm gonna put, what can you use on the common district final? So let me change this, new share right there, so it's being recorded. So you can use the formula sheet in your test book, and you will have a test book, okay? You can also write on your test book. So there's no scratch paper, okay? No notes of any kind. You can use a calculator and a pencil. And that is it, okay? So when you walk into this class on that day, your backpack needs to be alongside the wall. You will not have access to it, so no access. Your cell phone needs to be in a bin, so you don't have access to your cell phone. It's a common district final. If you have your cell phone out and you get caught, your test is invalidated. Everybody's in this class test is invalidated. And you guys all have to come back on a weekend and take the test, not with me, but with somebody else. So when you guys walk in here that day of the test, I will be collecting your cell phones, okay? And it's not just for this class, it's for every single student in the 13 high schools that's taking this test. Okay. Does that make sense, you guys? So it's a really strict test. Yeah. So there we go. No access. There we go. All right, so let's go back to this, guys. All right, so looking at this, I'm gonna do H of -29 is equal to, and what that means is every time you see an X in your equation, you're gonna replace that X with -29, okay? So I have -1/2 X, put a -29, plus 3. Okay, so you're gonna go back to like 4th grade math. You know how you just put a 1 underneath the 29? So -1 times -29 is a positive 29. 2 times 1 is a 2 plus 3. If you look at your answers, none of your answers are like in a fraction, or I'm sorry, in a 2 fractions. So you have to find a common denominator. So going back to 4th grade math, what's your common denominator here between 2 and 1? 2. 2. Times this by 2, times that by 2, which gives you a 6, and that becomes a 2. So now that you have a common denominator, 2 is a common denominator. 29 plus 2 is a 31. Or I'm sorry, 32. I'm like, I don't see the answer. Crap. I know I see the answer. 32. Wait a second. No, hold on a second. Hold on. I'm not doing something right. Negative 29 plus 3. Oh, that's why. I'm like, it's not 32, Callahan. It's 29 plus a 6. Do you see the 6 right there? I added to the 2. It's 3 times 2, which is 6. So 29 plus 6 is 35. So which one here is a 35 over 2? Oh, Janaya, you can't go to the bathroom. You're on the no task list. I'm sorry. Yeah, you are. She just sent it out yesterday. You're on the no task list. I can show it to you, my dear. So your answer is a 35 over 2, and that is your answer. All right, number 26. Awesome. 26 is a good one too. This will be our last one that we do. So I'm gonna give you guys a moment to go ahead and read this. Okay, so the point, negative 12n, okay, that's crappy because there's an n there, is an ordered pair to this function. So I'm going to highlight that. What is the value of n? So what it's asking you is telling me what is n equal to. That's my goal. If I look at this point, that's x, that's y. Do you see how I'm labeling this? So x equals negative 12, n is y. I need to figure out what y is, okay? So let's go ahead and do this. This is your equation. I know x equals negative 12. So wherever I see an x, I'm going to replace it with a negative 12. All right, so let's go ahead and multiply this out, you guys. You guys can do this. 3 times negative 12. Again, you can use your calculator. Minus 9. There's your answer. So if I'm going to go ahead and write this up here, I'm going to put negative. Do you see the negative right there? So put a negative. Put the number 4. Find 4. Put a dot. And then 5. Go down to 5 and then put a dot like that. And that is your answer. And that's how you will do it. Okay, so I know I normally don't give you guys homework. For homework tonight, if you guys can work on number 27 to 32, 2, it's literally like 5 questions. That will really help us speed along with this, so that way we can cover all the questions. So if you would please do that, that will be great. I just want to make sure that you guys have a good chance at passing the final, because I know the final is going to be is difficult, but the study guide is a really good way of kind of going through that. All right, now what I want you guys to do is make sure you guys grab your cell phones or your iPads, and you're going to start your exit ticket right now. We're not done with class, obviously, but I'm going to have you guys do this, and then I'm actually going to have you guys do a little Christmas activity before you guys leave today. So here is your exit ticket right there. Use your QR code and go ahead and do that, please. I'm just gonna grab the copies just down the hallway. Don't get any this one, okay? Try to come back. Okay, if you guys are done, bring up your highlighters up here and then grab one of these paper right here. This paper is due today before you guys leave. So go ahead and grab that and explain to you guys what it is that we're going to be doing with that. All right, you guys. So if you are done with this and you went ahead and grabbed that paper, so what I want you guys to do is the following. It asks you a series of questions and also asks you to do a math question there, which is accurate. So let me go ahead and just pull this up right now. You all have a different one. Make sure you put your name on it first. This is due today before you guys leave, so you can't really take it home with you, unfortunately. So this is what you're gonna be doing. So if you have, let's see, which ones do I like? Oh, I like this one. This one's pretty. All right. So if you have one of these things, okay, yours will look a little bit different than mine, but you know, you have a different one. Put down your name. So I'm gonna put down my name. if I can. Okay, and then give me your favorite Christmas message. Thank you very much. Make sure you sign in, my dear. Mine is just gonna be happiest holidays. May the new year be filled with smiles and positivity. That's mine. You create whatever the heck, you need to do there. Next one, your favorite Christmas movie. My favorite Christmas movie is the Christmas Story and Home Alone 1 and 2. I don't like the new Home Alone. I don't like Home Alone 3, but those are my favorite Christmas movies. Oh, and the Polar Express. Go ahead. The one kick out what? Oh, that's Home Alone.
No, like it was Christmas. She got sweet.
Oh, well, when you remember it, let me know. Then I want you guys to give me a Christmas list. And it doesn't have to be something like, stuff. I mean, it could be stuff if you want, like the new PlayStation. I don't know. What is it? PlayStation 5? Yeah, that's what I thought. The new PlayStation 5. Or you can say, peace in my family or something. I mean, it could be something like materialistic, or it could be something that's, like peace on earth or something like that. But I want you guys to fill that out. And then this is the most important one, and you can't skip this one because this is like the majority of where your points is going to be, is your Christmas math question. You are going to create a math question, and I don't really care which one it is. You're going to go ahead and create a math question and make sure you show the steps and provide me with the answer. If you're like, I'm not very creative in creating a math question, that's okay. You can pick a math question that's on your white packet or your study guide. And you just have to write the question, give me the steps, and then the answers. Okay, so you guys have about 10 minutes. Go ahead and do that, guys. Let's see. Which one is it? Oh, Arthur Christmas. No, I've seen that one. That's a really good one. Yeah. No, good job. I'm glad you mentioned that.